What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Imperfect. And joining me today is my fiance, Janie Douglas. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good. We are going to jump into something that I've been wanting to talk about for a minute now. This is going to be kind of a different episode. I have a group that I started on Facebook that this whole episode is going to be based about. But on top of that, I wanted to, of course, promote this group. Now, this group is called Imperfect Fam. It's a group I started a while ago, and the idea was a group where a community of people can get together and post anything and everything. They can post any idea, thought, imperfection, topic they want to talk about or discuss to further better themselves. And so this Imperfect Fam, I kind of just left it open at that and kind of started it. And I don't want to say I promoted a little bit before I promoted it on the podcast because I kind of wanted to let it run by itself and kind of see where it goes. And to see where it's at now is really, really amazing. And so, like I said, a lot of people just go to it and they post topics, they post thoughts, they post imperfections that they want to fix. So you basically can post your own imperfection, post your own topic, what you want advice, help, knowledge about. And on the other side of it, you can be a contributor to somebody else. A lot of people can, all of us are just kind of running through this world, so we know a little bit more than others and vice versa about certain topics. And so we kind of post things and people comment and you kind of just start an engagement, start a community within this Imperfect Fam so you guys can kind of communicate back and forth and start this conversation about mainly imperfections, but again, any topic, anything, just anything you want to learn about, anything you're curious about. Just, hey, are you any of you guys know who you're voting for in the upcoming election, and why, and things like that. So like we have rules inside of the group and they're kind of loose. Like I try to keep to them pretty tightly, but of course I have me and a couple other people running this group and moderating this group, so we can make sure that nobody's like going in there saying, "I'm a car salesman, come buy my car." Something completely irrelated, unrelated. I was like, how do you say that word? I do like when people go there and they want to promote something that they're trying to do or try to get tips from something. Like I like those things. Like I said, the whole goal of this whole page is to grow ourselves and to relate to that. And so every now and again, you'll probably see me post something in there about the podcast, asking a question about one of these podcasts with a guest, like, hey, this is what me and the guest talked about. What do you guys think? And try to continue the conversation. That's what I want to happen a lot, which I love. It's happened quite a bit, is I'll post, like I interviewed this guest. We talked about this thing, like, what are you guys' thoughts? And people will just engage and kind of like further the conversation. It's so great for me personally. Even though I'm interviewing someone, people think of more other things, things that I never thought about. So it's really awesome. I really love this group. I just really wanted to give it a huge shout out. If you guys want to go join it, I think it's really worth joining. And kind of just, if you guys have thoughts, insecurities, things that you just want to get out, or topics you want to learn about, or whatever it may be, go join this awesome community. And so with that being said, me and my fiance are going to kind of go through the group and kind of read aloud a lot of these things that people have been posting and talk about, our opinions on them, people's comments, maybe just kind of run through it a little bit and kind of go from there. So with that being said, let's kind of jump into it, babe. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. How's quarantine life going?
It's nice to have 3 days off in a row.
I know, right?
To stay here and do nothing.
I know. My fiance is an essential worker, so she is working out there every day. So let's go ahead and start with my first post. As I made the very first post in Imperfect Fam, and I said, I'll start us off with the first ever imperfection post. Let me know your guys' honest thoughts. This is a topic I mentioned on the podcast before that I struggle with more mentally than anything. Since I was born, I've always been on the skinnier side, mainly because of the things like dance and performances. Since I transitioned over to film and podcasting, I do a lot more sitting for work and editing purposes and things like that. I never really worked out, like full out anyways. I've always kind of dabbled, but not fully. But my perfection is that I believe that that being skinny or looking fit isn't the highest of my priorities as of right now. While I run a business, go to school full time, work part time, plan our wedding in June, which got canceled. That's stressful, and run the podcast. I would rather relax in my free time than work out because I'm quote unquote busy with all these other things. Yes, I 100% could make the time to work out, but it would cut into the little free time that I have, and et cetera, et cetera. So basically what I was trying to say in that thing is, I feel that I get a lot of comments from a lot of people that I'm chubbier. And I know that I can work out. I feel like I'm the person that, like, when he gets his mind set, like, I do it. You know, like, once I get rolling, like, I stick with it. I keep going. Like, I fight for it. But to me, when I'm free, when I'm not shooting a podcast, editing a podcast, shooting videos for the business, editing videos for the business, promoting the podcast and or the business, and then, of course, school full-time, that's the most biggest thing, and then part-time work and things like that. Not to complain, but I'm just saying that, like, when I have my free time, I like to relax. I like to play video games. I like to watch movies with my fiance. I just don't feel like running. And I know life will always be busy, but I just don't think that, I want to spend my time right now focusing on that. I want to get school out of the way. My mind for so long, for the last couple of months, I've kind of said when school's out, workout will replace school. It sounds weird, but that time commitment will swap. As soon as I'm out and we move and we find a new place and find a new gym and I subscribe to that gym, then I can finally get back to the process. But personally, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think that the society that we live in now, like, we're very accepting of everybody. And I think that, like, your first comment on here for Ari Taylor, she's just like, being mentally happy is 60% of like all your health. And I think that's completely true, because as long as you're happy with yourself, I think that it doesn't really matter what you look like. I think you should just be happy that you're alive and doing everything that you need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. It's like I chose my focuses. I chose what I want to be happy with, and this is what I want to be happy with.
Yeah, exactly.
This lifestyle. And I love what really, this is just the first post of many in this group. And what really swapped for me is reading these comments that I have. It really flipped a switch for me. Like, this group was a lot more than what I even originally started it and planned it to be. I started this just to kind of see if I expect other people to post, I wanted to post something myself and see what people have to say. And reading all these comments that I got was like really, really opening to me, especially, Ari's comment that I was like, thank you so much. Like, this, it just makes me feel a little bit more comfortable than I was before, kind of like letting that out there and kind of let people know, because I know at the end of the day, people say like, oh, I bought a treadmill and it just sits in the kitchen. It's like, well, why did you stop? Like, what's going on? Like, people just, oh, you have a treadmill sitting downstairs. See, it was a waste of money, wasn't it? Maybe it was, but maybe talk to that person first and see like what stopped them from using it. Why are they doing what they're doing? Why are they not running? So it just really kind of calmed me down in that thing aspect, because that was probably one of my, I have many, many imperfections, but that was one of my imperfections that really kind of been eating at me, especially when you go around with the family and that's all they can talk about. Oh, look at you. Look how chubby you've gotten. No, Mom.
just accept it. It's fine.
Just accept it. For real, though. So anyways, getting away from me, let's talk about some other people. So the next one is Landon, also was on the podcast. He said, hey, fam, one of my biggest imperfections is self-criticism. What advice do you have? Self-criticism is one of the biggest thing. Oh, by the way, before we dive into this, I just want to say, like, we're going to kind of give back our thoughts and advice on some of these, because I commented on a lot of these, and me and her will kind of continue the conversation. But I just want to let you know, like, this is nothing from, like, pros. This doesn't come from counselors. This isn't coming from people that know mental health or mental, like, or at least may or may not, I should say. But it's just getting advice, knowledge from other people. It's not other intelligent people. These other people are smarter and know something that you may don't. But it's just kind of getting advice from you, what a friend, a family, like a community of people. We're all been through life, and we all have completely different experiences. So going here and kind of being open about it, I just feel it's really good. So I just want to kind of put that out there. With that being said, when I think of self-criticism, I think I'm very with him. I'm very heavy on self-criticism. I beat myself up all the time, like, going back to that free time thing again, I'm like, free time? Like, I always feel a little guilty when I go and play video games, or when I'm going and watching TV or whatever it may be. I just feel guilty, like I should be doing more. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think that this is one of the big things with me. So it's kind of hard to give advice for something that I struggle with as well, because I think a lot of people, like, self-criticize themselves for, it's not just necessarily about how, you should be doing this and you're not. It's more of, the way that I look today or something like that. Like, I think that it's difficult to
Process.
Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely can be a struggle. I totally agree. Self-criticism can be like anything with how you look, how you be, how you act, how you handle your relationships, how you handle problems, how you handle finances. Like, you criticize yourself so much. And I know Landon personally. He's going to be my best man at my wedding. And I know he's a very strong person to kind of push himself to be a better human being, like, every day. Like, I created this brand because of what I've witnessed in this lifetime. And there's so much, as all of us as human beings have so much memories and built-in knowledge and experiences. And I have quite a few unique ones, and quite a few that hurt me, and quite a few that helped me. And I hope to share that throughout time. But throughout this process, all we're trying to do, or at least what we should be doing, is trying to better ourselves and become better human beings, chase what we want to do, chase our dreams, achieve our goals, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think the end goal is to just better yourself and to not beat yourself up for it every day.
You got to find like a balance. Like, you shouldn't sit down. And I think that's where the self-criticism comes down. Is like, because when you sit down, that guilt, and you're just like, I need to be doing something more. I need to be grinding. I could be studying homework, like blah, 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 blah.
I think the big thing is that a lot of people tend to think about everything that they haven't done. And instead of, oh, this is what I have done.
Yeah.
And this is what I have achieved and everything like that. Everybody's just like, oh, like, I haven't done this and this and this yet. But it's like, look at how much you've already done and how much you've already achieved and everything.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of awesome comments in this thread as well. And like, there's this Nick guy that commented something I wanted to share was, I think self-criticism can be useful in smaller, objectively viewed doses. Knowing when you're wrong goes a long way when you're not being overly harsh on yourself. If you don't know something is off, how can you use it to become better? Destructive self-criticism serves no one. And with that, one would need to take a step back and make a conscious effort to stop tearing oneself down. I agree with that a lot, because destructive criticism is so bad. And that's like a lot of what self-criticism leads up to be. It's just like, it will just sit and eat at you in bed every time you lay down and every time you're doing stuff. And now it's kind of like, I've kind of got past that personally, is I'll always kind of overdo it. Like right before bed, I'll even go spend 15, 20, 30 minutes in the office, and I'm trying to like just kind of look at assignments, kind of remind myself what I have to edit the next day, kind of just know where I'm at, do a little bit more, maybe editing or posting or homework or whatever it may be. And then I'm like, okay, I did a little bit more. Now I'm going to go back to bed, and I'm going to stay in bed. I'm going to let it all go, and I'm going to relax, So that's something that's definitely helped me. Moving on, we have a person named Ashley. She says, I love the idea of this page. I'm guilty of so much, but lately it's just the overwhelming feeling of failure and self-contempt. Fun stuff. Love everyone, though. And that one can be pretty harsh. But like, so the one that says, but lately it's just being an overwhelming feeling of failure and contempt. And that failure thing, again, it kind of plays in a role with the self-criticism. It's like, I need to do better. But failure specifically, I personally have felt that numerous times. It's like when you're starting a business, or I'm doing the podcast, and you don't see numbers, you don't see income. That stuff can feel like you're a failure. No matter how much you push, no matter how much you do. I edit every day. I post every day. I keep the website up to date. I do all these things trying to run two practically businesses to keep it the best it can be, looking the best, up to date on everything possible. And it still, sometimes I'm just like, man, I feel like a failure. There's no numbers yet. I want people to get engaged more, like these things, and I'm just not hitting it yet. So that one I haven't figured out, and that one I'd love for someone to continue this conversation on. There's not too many comments on this one, but this could be a really good conversation to kind of grow, because I still don't have that figured out.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, the thought of everything that I haven't done yet to what I have. Like, I mean, you look at one of your podcasts and you're like, oh, like I got like 10 views or something. But it's just like, you got 10 people watching you. I mean, yeah, you're not famous yet, but I mean, I think it's always looking at the positive rather than being the failure that you think that you are.
Right.
Because you're achieving so much each day that you don't even like realize, because you're like, oh, this is what I need to be at and I'm not here yet, so I'm failing. And it's like, no, like you're achieving so many goals to get to that part, but you just got to keep striving towards it. Yeah,
the numbers can be very difficult, and that's the cool thing is, like, I absolutely love because the numbers can be very depressing. Sometimes when you're looking and you put a lot of work into these things. I just had a guest, or should be coming out or came out, Jordan, that came on, and we talked about, how much work goes into this thing. It doesn't hit the numbers. It kind of just that feeling of, like you put all this work into it. It doesn't. And to me, like I used to, when I was making the dance videos, it was just like that idea of fame is hitting millions of views. I don't see that too much anymore. What I want more, if I could ask more of my Imperfect fam community or Imperfect community in general, is I want more comments. I just want more engagements. Like when people share something or people leave a comment, especially when someone leaves a comment being like, man, like when you said X at like 50 minutes into the episode, like that really resonated. Love this episode. Like that means so much. And even Jason, he saying the same thing because he's got an overwhelming amount of comments now since he blew up. But he's just like, it's so nice. I get to just like, regardless of the amount of comments, I always have these 1 or 2, 3 people that really comment on every single video, and they leave such a nice comment that I really just want to take the time to reply to them because they were there since the beginning when I had one comment and they were there. Like that's something I like to chase and kind of like hope for it. But you also at the same time have to earn it. You want to make a show that people love, want to watch, things like that, or any kind of art you're doing.
Yeah.
So moving on though, we have Raz Clark. I said Raz. No, but this one also came on the show as well. So this is cool. He was with Nothing at Most. He's in a band. He said, in my past, I wasn't a good person, but a few years ago, I had an ego death and have been struggling ever since with the fact that nowadays I'm a great person, but I struggle with my own self-doubt from my past self. I know I'm good now, but I struggle so much with accepting it. That one's tough. This one is a really, really hard one because a lot of this is kind of going back into the self-criticism and how we think of ourselves. I struggle from my own self-doubt. Like that, the only person stopping you from your own goals, I feel like all the time, is me. It's only me. Like I'm stopping myself because, I don't see XYZ. I'm not receiving goals that I want to achieve, like, and things like that, But to me, I've kind of, to fix that, personally trying to get rid of that self-doubt, I like to think I don't need thousands of views, like I said earlier, or anything like that. I see it as if I can earn 1 subscriber in a week. That's been my goal, is earn 1 new follower every single week. That shows me that I'm moving and improving. And it's a very small scale, but it means that I'm moving up. If you're moving up, it's better than moving down. So I want to just continue that growth. And, eventually maybe maybe 2 subscribers a week. Let's fight for that. 5 subscribers a week, and of course you'll market and push that as it comes on. But just to focus on that, that self-doubt, you really have to kind of, I think, study yourself and say, okay, like, why do I doubt myself? What can I fix in my own life to make me feel like I'm doing better? I have self-doubt because maybe I only practice for my band 20 minutes a day. Maybe I'm going to go on and practice an hour a day or something like that. Maybe it's improving time. I don't know. It's just like a personal thing with you, but I feel like whatever you think it could be, just try to improve upon.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a big thing with self-doubt, though, is just the fear that you feel. Because, when you have self-doubt, you're fearing something, depending on, like, like you said, like you're only practicing for 20 minutes, but it's maybe like you're practicing for 20 minutes because you're afraid to go on stage and you're like self-doubting yourself, like, oh, I'm not good enough. And yeah, like you said, if you start practicing more, doing whatever, then your self, ego and everything is going to go higher. And then when you perform, like, you won't have that doubt in yourself.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it's called, but it's called, there's a name for it, but it's like when you're scared, like you don't feel like you earn it feels like self-doubt what is it called? Oh, imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is one of those things where it's like you don't believe that you earn your accomplishments, you doubt your accomplishments, and have a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as fraud. Like you just don't feel like you have earned it. You have earned this thing in life, this spot in life. Like, and that is something that I can relate to this, or just personally, it's just like, I feel like there's a lot of times that you just like, I don't think I believe I earned this, and the podcast need to be better, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like I've had numerous guests when we finish, they're like, I love your show, I love the idea, I love, kind of just sharing this conversation, like just sitting down and having a conversation with a new person every episode. Like that is so fresh. I love that in it, and like I love the way you interviewed, but I still rip myself apart. I'm like, I should have interviewed better, I should have done this better. Do I really deserve how these nice things that are being said to me? It doesn't even have to be like on a platform level. It can be on like on a family level. Like, oh, like I don't like, okay, in a relationship level, like I don't deserve your love. Like I'm a fraud. Like I shouldn't be here. You deserve so much, someone so much better. Blah 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 blah. Just to kind of tie that back into what you were saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that can be definitely something else too. I'm gonna kind of skip up here a little bit. So here's one. This is from Jesse. Says, I think my biggest imperfection is that I don't love myself, or rather I didn't. I'm slowly but surely starting to understand self love aside from my ego. But here's the story. I didn't understand how anybody could look at me and smile. I was so insecure. Sometimes I'll have smallish breakdowns, and all it does is send me unsolicited flashes of the memories I wish I could relive. But I've accepted that I think they said may never happen is what they were probably referring to. However, the one thing I can't let go of is my ignorant self from the past. There's that self thing again. So again, these are interesting because a lot of these first bunch of posts have been kind of like me, how I see myself, how I think of myself. I think my biggest imperfection is this, but I commented on this thing and I was like, I think you need to love yourself. Or need to love yourself. I said, having that feeling or thinking is a very powerful feeling. It makes you feel so depressed, hurt, and unloved. I used to feel like that when I was younger. I'm sorry you're going through this. The biggest way I have gotten through this is sitting down and finding out why I don't love myself. And I mentioned imposter syndrome and things like that. And so basically I was just like, sitting down with yourself. That's so like such an overrated thing. Like you should sit down with yourself and have this journey. But I think there's different ways people can do it. Some people do meditate and kind of find themselves. I think I think a lot of things like business, writing things down. I'm a sticky note kind of person, as you know. But I'll sit down and write notes and write things that, what do I do right? What do I do wrong? I've even seen like in a relationship format, when people are talking about like if they should fix a relationship or leave because it's so toxic or something, they'll write down a pro and cons about the relationship or each other. Kind of looking at it on paper kind of becomes not an assignment, but in a way you kind of look at it different. You're like, okay, here's the facts in front of me. I can kind of look at this as if I'm reading something and kind of look at it and understand a different thing. So like write down what you don't like, but then right next to it, how can I fix this? Google can help with that part. Family, friends, talking, communication, Imperfect Fam can help with that part. You have this thing you don't like about yourself. Take that statement, do some research, talk to friends, family, Imperfect Fam, whatever it may be, and put that next to it. I don't love myself because I feel like I am a very non-open person, introvert or something like that. I want to be able to talk to people more. I want to be extrovert more. I want to do this. Next day, I mean, like talk to your family, like, hey, well, just come out more. Like once a week, come like watch a movie night with us, or once a week, go out with your friends. Like, okay, well, that's gonna put one goal right there. See if that works. Try it. People that really want to improve themselves will do something like that. It's a list. It's a thing that one answer is not gonna help everybody. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of why I like this thing, because someone posts this imperfection, and so many people have different answers or ideas, thoughts, comments, concerns about it, and it loves it because one or two or some of those will just hit the spot of what you were looking for, the answer you were looking for that will fit you. So you're like, oh, well, try this. Well, I already tried that. It didn't work. I don't like going out. Okay, well, what if you just tried to FaceTime your parents and try to talk to them for maybe 20 minutes? It's your parents. Like, you can talk to your parents. Like, just try to talk to them more. Maybe it will help you just kind of come up with better, quicking answers, and you'll be better in conversation. I don't know. But that could be something that could totally help that conversation and kind of grow that. So let's pick a couple more, and then I'm going to kind of wrap this up. Okay, so here's a good one. We got Jason, also been on the podcast. Jason is awesome. He's going to be in my line for my wedding. He is a very fantastic, smart, intelligent man. He is kind of doing the same thing I'm doing. We both are going to school full time. We both are running a film business, and then we're both doing YouTube. And of course, I'm doing a podcast setting, but he does YouTube. And But the huge difference is he has 6 kids, so it's a little bit more busier and crazier. But that man puts in work, and I love that man. So, but one thing he said is my first post, my imperfect thing that I hate about myself. I have an issue with unforgiveness. In addition, I also am impulsive and react from my first emotions without much insight. That right there, that like the whole reacting to first emotions, that could be something that's a little bit painful. It's like you always react on your first emotions, because especially when you're in a conversation and things like that, to pull yourself out is really difficult. Like when you're arguing with someone, like you just act on your first emotions. So that's gonna be very difficult, but there are ways that I think you can do it. One thing, like when we've had arguments, just kind of taking a breath, backing away, kind of just like your goal, I feel like in every argument is why you're right, and you're trying to debate why you are right. This is why I deserve your apology or whatever, like blah blah blah. But your goal is it's just like attack because you want to win. You want to win. You want to win. When you pull away, I feel like when you pull away and you take a breath, you're just like that whole kind of that argument kind of dies down. That adrenaline kind of dies down. And you realize you're not trying to beat each other. That's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to beat each other. What you want to do is to fight together. And then when you take that breath, it's like okay, like this is how I feel. And of course, in arguments, there's so many things. It could be, it could be self-doubt too, in that it can be like, I just want to be right. I have other insecurities. I have insecurities about you. I might, like, whatever it may be, there might be a bunch of other issues underneath that kind of egg that on. Because I never really feel like a fight's one thing. It's always like you want to get something else out, or you want to like say something else. It's never just like,
Yeah, I think it's good to just kind of step away for a little bit and just kind of have a conversation with yourself. Be like, okay, this is what I want to say, but I don't want to say it in this way because I'm just going to hurt someone. Like, and it's hard because you want to just be like, no, this is exactly what I want to say. But it's, you got to think of it in the sense of how should you say that? Because it's words, you can never take those things back after you say it. So I think my big thing is like, even when we fight or something, like I just always like, okay, we need to take a breath. Like we need to go to separate rooms. Like I need to think about what exactly it is I want to say before I say it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I do that with like everything because, I'm just an introvert myself. Like introvert?
Yeah. Extrovert. Yeah.
Introvert, whatever. Shy person. I don't talk to people that much anyway. So, when it comes to my first thought, like I have like 20 million thoughts because I'm always in my head about what to say before I even say it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that can be definitely a big one. Moving on, I have one here. This is one I posted. I just kind of want to give you guys an example of one I might post about a podcast. So episode 19, we had Ray Rosen on, the oldest guest of the show. Not that old, still young, still working, still grinding. He's a really cool dude. But I made a thing saying, hello all, episode 19. I had a guest come on to discuss being a workaholic. Do you think this is a good or bad thing, and when is it most appropriate to be a workaholic? Basically, when is it okay to grind 24/7? A lot of people say the grind is real, and then some do work like crazy nonstop till 5 a.m., and the others are like, yeah, the grind is real, releases one song in 6 months and calls himself a rapper. Well, it's, like I'm not trying to stereotype or anything like that, but it's just like, what I mean by that is there's a difference of like, are you behind the scenes? Like if you're working on music, you're working on an album, great. If you're doing XYZ, if you're doing shows, if you might do whatever to build your, like, great. I know it's different maybe in rap because it does take a long time to make a song or something like that. Mm-hmm. But let's say a YouTuber, because YouTubers very rarely get away with uploading once a month or anything like that. It's like Mark Rober or whatever it might be that actually pops off by doing something like that. But it's consistency. You want to consistently be doing stuff. And so I just was basically asking, like, what do you think is okay to grind and work hard? Is it you grind until you make an income and you make a decent living, and then you kind of settle, and you kind of like settle into your house, settle into your life, find comfort, and then you just kind of release stuff slowly? That's what happens with a lot of people that make it big. They'll work really hard, make it big, make a couple albums, and they kind of just buy their big house and kind of settle down, which is totally deserved, But it's just that conversation. That's my view. A couple of thoughts I had about this, but just basically saying like, what do you guys think about this? And so that's what I do with a lot of the podcasts. I have guests on. I kind of take a moment or something that I kind of want to continue the conversation with Imperfect Fam. So yeah. There are literally hundreds of posts. There's just so many people, so many comments, so many things going on in Imperfect Fam. A lot of great things. If you guys want to join this group, I really encourage you guys to do that. It's just Imperfect Fam on Facebook. I'll kind of leave on this awesome thing that it goes further than this what we've been talking about. Kind of the negative or the heavy things like that. There's a lot of things like this. Not like there's a lot of people posting like, what should I watch in quarantine? What are you guys keeping up? Like, there's a lot of fun posts. Like, I said, it can be anything. Like what are you guys doing to keep busy in quarantine? And then people are like, this is what I'm doing, TikToks and blah blah blah. But one person made a post saying, what are 3 things everyone is grateful for today? And it kind of shifted to a lot of the rest of the posts that have been on here too, letting people know that, hey, it's okay, which it is. This group is a community that I just kind of want to let run and let this community kind of talk and grow together. I don't want to be quote unquote in charge of it until people are in here harassing other people or things like that. It's just a community that people can be themselves, talk about their imperfections, talk about topics on anything like the podcast or whatever it may be, and continue that conversation on. And to see this top 3 and seeing everybody what they're grateful for today absolutely makes my heart melt. It's just like reading all these things. It's my family, definitely the sunshine. Like, it reminds you of, like, of course you put 3 things, but you read everybody else's 3 things. You're like, oh yeah, like the sunshine is still shining. Like, it just makes you feel really good. So there's a lot of awesome posts in here. I really want to encourage you guys to do this. I could read a lot more. I just don't want to get too in depth. Some of these are kind of more personal than others. So I kind of wanted to share ones that I kind of knew the people and were willing to let me share. So, but guys, seriously, I just wanted to encourage you guys so much to come join this group. It's really awesome. I don't know. To me, this is something that continues my growth on and off the podcast. I can kind of pop in here, go down this group and kind of just read these things of what people are saying. And it makes me so happy to see. So let's grow this community. I want to get it bigger. I do have a big announcement for that community and for you guys coming eventually. I'm just hoping to get things wrapped up and kind of maybe get school out of the way and things like that. But we've been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes to kind of grow the podcast even more. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I like to just have my fiance on and just kind of, so I'm not like by myself being like, hey guys, feels a little good to have somebody here. So we love you guys. I hope you have a good time, and we'll see you with our next guest following this Wednesday. Peace out.